my guinea pigs. Okay, so this is planning for two futures, retirement and lifelong care for your child. And this is a child with a disability. So let me ask you, how many of you are within 5 years of retirement or already retired? Raise your hands. Steve, are you raising your hand? Okay. Um, all right. If you are not near retirement, that is fantastic because this is what you need to start thinking about. So, first thing we need to talk about is what are my goals and values? And this isn't just yours, this is for your child with a disability. So, what are your personal values? Your personal values are the measuring sticks by which you determine what is a successful and meaningful life. So you really want to think about what it makes a successful life for you. You know, what do you want in your life in retirement to look like? Do you want to do lots of travel? Do you want to stay home, work around the house? Would you like to volunteer? What does that look like for you? And then what is a successful and meaningful retirement look like for your child with a disability? So, depending on what their disability is, if they can tell you what that looks like, if not, you know, what do they enjoy doing and what do they want to continue to do once you're retired and have more time to spend with them? So, do they like to travel? Are they able to work? Do they want to work? Do they want to volunteer? Where do they want to live? Are they currently living at home with you? And do they want to live somewhere else at some point in the future, either a group home on their own or someplace else? So, the first thing that we need to look at is our income versus expenses. So, we need to determine all the income sources and assets that we have in retirement for both you and your child with a disability. So you need to determine your expenses in retirement for both you and your child with disability. And we also, excuse me, need to project expenses for your child with disability after you are gone, because that is going to be another category and that's going to be hard to do. And nobody really wants to look at those things. So, first of all, we want to have a balance sheet and establish a net worth. So there's tons of templates out there. This is one that I pulled off, it's personal balance sheet. And basically it's looking at all your assets, your current assets, your bank account information, any kind of stocks, bonds, CDs that you have, and your retirement information, your retirement, either IRAs, 401ks, 457s, 401as, and then your Roth. And you want to separate your Roths from your pre-tax retirement assets because they're treated differently, especially when they go into a trust. Um, so, uh, and then you want to look at all your real estate. What's your real estate? Do you have any investable real estate? Do you have any businesses? Do you have any other assets? And then look at all your liabilities. What are your current credit card debts? Do you have any auto loans? Do you owe money on the house? Do you have a HELOC? Do you have a second mortgage? Things of that nature. So, and any other debts you have, you're going to subtract your liabilities from your assets, and that is your net worth. So, you want to do this for yourself, and then you want to include any kind of income that your child with a disability has. So that would be their total family income. So income and assets for both the parents and the child disability. So here we have the child with a disability. So their income is going to be SSI and Medicaid. And again, I'm assuming that your child is over 18 and that they already on Social Security and Medicaid. If they are not, you need to immediately apply for Social Security benefits and Medicaid for your child. That after 18, it's based on their income, not yours. And so there is no reason that they shouldn't get it as long as they have a disability. So, and it will make life so much easier for you down the road. So do that first, make sure that they're getting SSI and Medicaid. If they have a Medicaid waiver, that is also considered income because it takes some of the expenses that you would have to pay for transportation, companionship, things of that nature, and it's paid for by the Medicaid waiver. Other things that they might have are able account and a first party special needs trust. If there's any child support that's being paid to the child, that would be in a first party special needs trust or an able account. And then any other getting SNAP, Section 8 housing, anything else you might get. Your assets and income, obviously, are going to be your savings, your brokerage accounts, IRAs, 401ks, pre-tax, and then your Roth. IRAs or 401ks, any kind of pension or annuity or life insurance, particularly cash-based insurance. Your term life insurance is probably not the preferable thing to have with a child with a disability, because you want to ensure that it's going to pay out and not term out after a certain amount of years. Long-term care insurance, especially if you are a single parent with a child with a disability, that you should really consider looking into getting long-term care insurance, whether it is a hybrid insurance or straight long-term care insurance, because if you are IRA pre-tax, retirement dependent to provide for them in the future, so it's retirement benefits that are going to pay for their care in the future, and you have a long-term care issue that requires you to go into a nursing home or something, that is going to be money that's going to be spent and can't be spent for, it's going to be spent for you and can't be given to them and can't be a legacy item. So other things that you want to look at are house and other real estate and business. Expenses that you're going to have. So you're going to look at your expenses as well as your child with a disability's expenses. So housing costs. So if your child is living at home, they're including that in your costs. But if you're looking for, if you're not here, your child's not going to live in your house. So you need to start thinking about, what are the housing costs for my child outside of my home? Are they going to live on their own? Can that happen? Could I get, a condo and have a companion live with them and pay for that person to live with them and help them out? Are they going to live in a group home? Group homes are traditionally paid for by Medicaid waivers. So then you wouldn't have that many expenses. So it all depends on what you're looking at and what your child with a disability is looking to have as far as future housing. Food. So again, food, if they're living at home, is covered into your food bill, but they're going to have their own food bill once they're out on their own and living somewhere else. Clothing, entertainment, job-related expenses. They're going to have a lot of job-related expenses if they have a job. Transportation is a huge expense for children with disabilities. So parents can transport them now, but if they are living on their own or working on their own, or if you're unable through the aging process to transport them anymore, you got to think about what kind of transportation they're going to have. Some cities have free transport. In Gainesville, we have what they call MV Transport, which is like a minibus that comes by and picks people up. You have to give or take an hour each way as if you want to make an appointment, because they're never on time and they're not super reliable. You have city bus service that you could rely on. You could also do Uber and teach them how to use Uber, and that's a possibility depending on what their care needs are. Healthcare is another one. So a lot of times parents will cover their child with a disability on their work healthcare, and then once they retire, the child can go on to Medicare. So you need to look at what those additional costs are. If the child with a disability is on Medicaid, Medicaid will pick up the out-of-pocket for the Medicare costs. So that is another reason to get them on SSI and Medicaid as soon as possible. They can be jointly on Medicaid and Medicare. And then travel. If they like to travel and they want to go places, go to Disney World, they want to go out to Europe or wherever, if you're not going to be able to travel with them, they're probably going to need a travel companion too. So, if they like to go places and they want to do that, and that's important for you to allow them to do that, then, it's going to be companions that have to travel with them. So finding somebody to travel with them and then probably pay for that person as well. So, expenses after one parent or both parents pass away. So you have to think about the life expectancy of your child with a disability. If they have a disability that shortens their life expectancy, maybe this isn't a huge concern for you because you're going to expect that you're going to outlive them. If they do have a regular life expectancy that they're going to live 50, 60 to 70, something like that, then you need to account for the fact that they will probably live longer than you. So you need to take that into account. Where are they going to live? We've already talked about housing, but where are they going to live, and what does that look like, and how are you going to pay for that? And if you want to buy, there's a big movement of, buying a house for your person with a disability and paying and getting, roommates there, some with disabilities, some without, but you have ongoing costs, property taxes, insurance, and other things like that that you have to make sure are accounted for and paid for from some source. Companionship. So after you pass away, you want someone to take them out in the community and be part of their life, and take them places and stuff. So you got to account for that cost too. Transportation is a huge one. Entertainment costs, healthcare, and then other expenses that they're going to have. If they have need adaptive equipment for speaking or for movement or anything like that, that you have to consider those additional expenses as well. So gaps to fill. So we've now gone through your income and your assets that you have. And now we've also hopefully figured out all your expenses that you're going to have. So is there a gap that needs to be filled for your child while you're in retirement? What are you going to do to fill that gap? Is that something that you need to fill? Or is this one of those trade-offs that, well, my child can't have everything that they want. I'm going to give them what they need. And then also you need to ask if there is a gap in taking care of your child after you're gone. After you're gone, I mean, you want to make sure that you have some sort of funds to take care of them. But again, if you don't have the money, you don't have the money. So sometimes it has to be, well, I can pay for what you need and make sure that you're safe and comfortable and have what you need, but you're not going to be able to go to Disney World every single year just because you want to go there. So those are, trade-offs that you have to think about, and you want to make sure that your child with disability is aware of those trade-offs that you're going to have to make. So then the question becomes, how do I fill this gap? And what are the risks to my retirement by filling this gap? So again, a lot of parents who, shortchange their own retirement by paying for kids to go to college or paying for their adult children to live at home, or they're paying for other things. This is the same situation. What are you risking in your retirement by filling this gap for your person with a disability? Are you shortchanging yourself? Are you forcing yourself just to live on Social Security in order to allow your person with disability to, have a better life? Is that important to you? These are value questions that you need to ask. And then what are the risks if you don't fill this gap? Again, are you okay with just supplying the needs of your person with disability and not necessarily all their wants? So these are questions that you need to ask yourself. And really, as a couple, you want to make sure you're both on the same page. And you really want to involve your person with a disability, your child with a disability, in these discussions wherever possible. If you think that they can understand this and they can comprehend that, it is best to have that conversation with them so they understand what you can do for them and what you can't do for them. So how do you fill these gaps in order to fund your retirement? So main things are Social Security. CDB is childhood disability benefits. It used to be called DAC. That's what I always call it because it just rolls off the tongue faster, easier. But that is a benefit that goes as soon as you apply for Social Security benefits. Your child can get SSDI based on your work record, not their work record. So that's an important benefit to have, and it definitely affects when you take your Social Security. So the other thing is retirement assets, whether you have pre-tax assets or Roth assets. Pre-tax assets, if you're leaving them as a legacy into a special needs trust, they're going to be taxed. People with disabilities do not have a 10-year rule. They will qualify for lifetime RMDs, but they will be taxed at trust tax rates. Roth has better taxation in a trust and for their future. So you need to consider that. Do you pay to do conversions now while you're in retirement to allow them to have, better taxation in the future? And then life insurance. And again, you want to have permanent life insurance, not term. Long-term care insurance, especially this is a definite consideration if you are a single parent and you're solely responsible for that person with a disability. ABLE accounts and special needs trusts, and then you need to think about when to fund them. So ABLE accounts, you can get when they're a child, and it's a great thing to have because money grows tax-free. You can take it out tax-free, or it grows tax-deferred, and you can take it out tax-free. And special needs trust, do you fund a special needs trust while you're alive, or do you do it upon your death? There's pros and cons definitely to both of those. So let's talk about Social Security. So Social Security claiming strategies are going to be a little bit different when you have a child with a disability. Again, as I said before, the adult child with a disability can receive SSDI up to 50% of the parent's PIA benefit. What is a PIA benefit? That is your benefit at full retirement age. So at 67 for most of us these days, that's when you get your full retirement benefit. If you wait till 70, that allows you to get more money, but it doesn't help your child get more money. If you claim it earlier, it hurts you, but it doesn't hurt your child. They still get 50% of your PIA benefit when you claim. So these are considerations that you want to look at, and maybe one parent files early to get the clock started, and then the other parent files late. Or, you got to look at those things from a family unit. And then when you pass away, your child with a disability will get up to 75% upon your death. So other things to consider: the child must have a disability prior to the age 22. So if they get in a wreck and have a traumatic brain injury and have a disability at age 28, this does not apply. So they have to have basically a childhood disability. The parent must file for Social Security benefits for the child with a disability to get this benefit. So the parent must file Social Security for the child to get this SSDI based on the parent's record. The benefit of doing this also is that the child with a disability is eligible for Medicare 24 months after receiving SSDI. So if you retire and you 24 months after that your child with a disability will start getting SSDI, and then they will get Medicare 24 months later. So it complicates the Social Security claiming decision. Things that really affect it are the family unit. So there's a family maximum involved here, where if you had one spouse that worked, one parent stayed home and took care of the child, now you're looking at maximum family issues. So maximum family benefit is typically between 150 and 185% of the worker's benefit. So you need to look at that, because they might not get 50% because of the family maximum. So it's affected by the lifetime Social Security wages of the parents, and you must look at your claiming age. So Social Security decision-making is very different when you have a child with a disability. So there's things you definitely need to look at. Retirement assets. So Secure 2.0 allows individuals with special needs to pay. You can fund make the trust the beneficiary of your retirement account, and it's a see-through accumulation trust, and through that they can see through that it's for the person with a disability. So therefore that person with a disability will qualify for lifetime RMDs. They do not have to have a 10-year rule. But again, they have to take out the RMD. The RMD gets paid out to the trust. Then the trust pays for things for the child. They don't pay the child directly. So they might pay for, they're not going to pay for housing because that would reduce Social Security, but they could pay for a trip to Disney World, or the trust could pay for, medical expenses that they have. It could pay for adaptive or, computers or anything else that they need. So you can pay directly through the trust for that. And that's a good way to reduce the taxes. But if you have a Roth, then there's no tax into the trust because it's a tax-free withdrawal. So tax implications of housing, pre-tax, and IRAs, 401ks, and all that in a trust. Again, as I just said, you have RMD assets in the trust. The trust holds that. It doesn't always give it out to the beneficiary. And so you need to look at the implications of that. And that gets into some very intricate fiduciary accounting rules and regulations that you definitely want to have a CPA or somebody who's very, very familiar with trusts. You're going to have some administration of trust costs as well. So Roth IRAs, 401ks, 457Bs are much better to hold in trusts. And then pensions and other annuities. Pensions and other annuities, I mean, who is the beneficiary of that? Could your child with a disability be a beneficiary of that? In which case, that would probably have to go into a first party trust. So you need to look at some of those things as well. Life insurance will pay out the death of one or both parents. You can get it on one parent, or you can get a second to die policy that is paid on the death of the second person. So this ensures that there is money available when you are both gone. And then you just pay through your retirement assets or Social Security for your child while you're in retirement. Permanent life insurance is either whole life or universal. Again, you do not want term, because once it terms out, there's no money. So, and then if the trust is a beneficiary, life insurance is tax-free, which is a good way to fund a trust. But the taxable income that is invested within the trust will be taxed. So once it pays out, it will be invested and that money will be taxed to the trust. So long-term care, I discussed this a little bit, but it protects the assets that you have earmarked for your child with a disability by providing insurance for long-term care events. So if you have a history of Alzheimer's, or you have a history of Parkinson's or other issues, this is something that you might consider trying to get. I mean, if you already have Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, you're clearly not going to get long-term care insurance, but hybrid policies are a good way to go. They are life and long-term care. So it's a life insurance policy with long-term care, either rider or just a hybrid policy, where you can, if you don't use it for long-term care insurance, then there is a life insurance benefit paid out. If you do use it for long-term care insurance, that goes first, and then there is no life benefit to be paid out. Special needs trust, as we talked about a little bit, do you fund it now or upon your death? These are questions that you probably want to ask. I think the vast majority of people fund it upon their death. There is some benefit to funding it now while you're still alive, and that is you can set up a bank account. You can train any successor trustee in all facets of the trust management. You can get them to understand how it works, what it pays for, and all the information that you have for that. Otherwise, upon your death, the successor trustee of this trust, assuming you are the first trustee, have to learn how to do this. There's a very large learning curve for being a trustee of a trust. So there is some benefit to funding it before death. Funding it now does require paying trust tax rates on the trust, which is a compressed tax rate, and it gets to 37% at $13,900 or 14,000, somewhere around $14,000. So it's a very compressed tax rate. Funding upon the death ensures that you're splitting assets that you want per the beneficiary statement. So if you want to change your mind on how you do that, you are able to do that very easily. So there's another reason to wait until death to split assets. So maybe one of sibling ends up being, a doctor and having, making gobs and gobs and gobs of money, and they don't need the assets, but they want your house. So maybe you put more of the money, decide to have a larger percentage go to the person with disability, and then the doctor then takes the house. So it gives you flexibility to change how you allocate to your heirs. So what else can I do? So now you've kind of got the money part. You've talked about your values and what you want in retirement and what you think you can do. But the best thing that you can do for your child is to write out a life care plan. And so this provides knowledge and information about your child that only you know. So, for instance, if your child is super short and can't get pants that fit, who do you go? Do you get them tailored? So where do you get them tailored? Because a lot of kids with disabilities are very particular about their clothing, where they go, who they see, and everything else. So, or do you get a specific style of pants that doesn't have a tag in the back because they hate tags in the back? Who cuts their hair? Where do you get their medicine? What do they do during the day? What do they like to do? How do you calm them down if they are upset about something? What don't they like? What do they like? What is a good day for them? These are all things that you want to write out in a life care plan, so that people that are taking care of your child after you're gone, they know what to expect, they know what to do, and it helps them walk into your shoes much better, because we just do it and we know what our kids like and don't like, and we just forget that other people don't know these things. So it really helps to write it out. There are a lot of templates out there that you can use to put together a life care plan. The other thing that you would definitely want to do is set up a circle of care. And what this is, it's a group of care coordinators, family, caseworkers, therapists, doctors who know and have worked with your child. These are people that are going to help support your child, that your child feels comfortable with, that you feel comfortable with, and trust and know that they're going to take care of you. Could also include accountants, lawyers, and things like that. So make sure that you take care of the financial aspects, but you also want to take care of your child as a whole. Make sure that all paperwork, trust, beneficiaries, POAs, powers of attorney, or guardianship are up to date. If not, that can be a fiasco. So you want to make sure, especially all your beneficiary stuff is up to date, so you don't leave any money directly to your child with a disability and then knock them out of benefits. And then assign secondary rep payee. So a representative payee is the person that takes care of their Social Security. And so you want to have a secondary person already established for that. And ABLE accounts also have a representative that controls the ABLE account or can control the ABLE account, and you want to have a secondary person set up for that. So you want to make sure that you not only are you taking care of everything, but you have the next tier in place so that other people can step into your shoes if need be. And it might not just be that you pass away. Maybe you get into a car wreck and you are incapacitated, and somebody else needs to step in. Otherwise, your child with a disability isn't going to get, and their money taken care of in a proper way. So anyway, that's it for me. Does anybody have any questions?
I do.